Just give me 1 second. Not 1 second, just. Hope I am audible. Okay, so Principal Madam Madhumanjari, we are starting.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
I'm watching you. You are welcome, ma'am. Ma'am Janti.
Yes, thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much, ma'am. Thank you very
Yes.
much. I was there even for yesterday's welcome address. Thank you so much.
Thank you for actually lending us your valuable time.
My
And
pleasure.
I hope that your session will be very good, and best of luck to
Thank
you
you.
and all participants.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. We are welcoming all of you to our workshop, second day workshop, and a warm welcome to our principal, Madam Dr. Madhumanjari Mondol, and our secretary, college secretary, though sir is not present today, Dr. Shapon Kumar Mukhuti, vice principal, sir, Dr. Shupratim Das, and our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Shamrat Bhattacharjee, and to all the participants who are joining us today for this wonderful workshop. And one thing I would like to mention, many of you had asked for the PPT by Professor Balaya. So now Dr. Srimoy Guhothakurta will post the link for the PPT in the chat box. So those of you are interested for the PPT, kindly download it. So now I'll not waste much time, and we will start today's technical session. And it is my privilege to introduce Dr. Mary Jayanti. Ma'am is the Vice Principal and Assistant Professor of English in Holy Cross College Autonomous Tiruchirappalli. She has designed and developed a workbook titled Resilience During Pandemic Towards a New Beginning and Well-Being. This is also our theme for today's session. At the same time, ma'am has done it in collaboration with IHA, All India Association for Higher Education, New Delhi. But this is a very short introduction of Dr. Mary Jayanti. I would like to add a few more words for ma'am. You will be happy to know that ma'am is a passionate reader, writer, content writer, and a poet. Okay, ma'am has a YouTube channel titled Voices and Whispers. She is the qualified professional and corporate trainer, and she also trains teachers, mentors, and students for group discussion and for enhancing their knowledge in teaching methodologies, as well as for developing their soft skills. Moreover, she was also the start-off poet of the online literary magic magazine New York from 2006 to 12. And she is trained in advanced leadership from Hawaii, USA. So, and ma'am is extremely passionate in literature, and she implements her poems, her passion for literature in her everyday life and her everyday teaching. So again, ma'am's CV is also quite long, and I have again made it little bit precise. So my advance apology if I have missed anything, ma'am. Ma'am, you were mute.
Not at all, Ishita.
And I would now also like to welcome Father George Thadatil, President, IHA, All India Association for Christian Higher Education, New Delhi. Father has joined us.
Yes,
Welcome,
just
Father.
a word from my side. Once again, welcome to everyone and to our Madam Resource Person for the second day, and to
Good
everyone
afternoon,
in
Father.
Scottish Church College for carrying on. 3 cheers and over to Madam.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father. So now we will not waste much time because I know our participants are eagerly waiting for today's session, and me and Srimoy, we had the opportunity to listen to ma'am's presentation and to go through her workbook as it was organized by the IHA. So all of you are really going to enjoy this session. So just all the best, ma'am. And now it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Ishita and Shimoy. Both of you, whenever I talk to you or relate with you, I can always feel the enthusiasm for the passion of the work that you take along with you. So many congratulations for organizing this, and a special word of appreciation to Principal Madam and to the entire management of Scottish Church College, and of course to Ayache, because IHA always believes in mentoring teachers across the nation. So I'm very happy, and a special word of thanks and welcome to Father George Tadathil. Of course, Father Xavier Vedam is not with us today. So a warm good afternoon to all the participants here. I was there for yesterday's session for the first half an hour. I could see how vibrant and enthusiastic and participative you were. And I'm sure you all make a difference in your classrooms. And as Ishita gave an introduction, and I believe that you all have seen the workbook, and that workbook was in response as a small learning resource tool, a self-learning resource tool to enable both the teachers and students to help us through this period of pandemic, because all of us have been going through emotional exhaustion in various ways. It could be a loss of a loved one, or it could be just boredom or loneliness, because this pandemic has not been just one of the virus, but this pandemic is also one of fear, loneliness, uncertainty. So just to aid us through this, workbook was developed. So what I would suggest is this workbook, teachers could do it for themselves first, and then I went through the responses in your registration, which states that you almost have 2 or 3 hours of mentoring per week on an average. Many of you responded it's 2 or 3 hours. Some said it is 4 hours, and a few said it's just 1 hour, no fixed time. You could plan this workbook as a learning resource tool. It's available as a soft copy, and give it to your students, and you can process them through it. The processing part is very important. We've just done the workbook, but it takes a mentor to process it. And that is why this session today would be really relevant. And in saying so, with that short introduction, let me just share my screen. Kindly let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see this.
Yeah, thank you. So this session is going to be an interactive one, because I will just take you through the processing of it, and you can stop me whenever you want to in the middle, right? And this is to enable us to evolve a pacifying period and the why and how of it as mentors. So, what is this pacifying period? A pacifying period is equivalent to a baby calming phase. Just imagine when a child falls down, immediately the child cries. The child cries, and the first expression is to vent it out. And the second one would be elders around would go and cuddle it, swaddle it, and just assure that everything is okay. And the third stage would be like, now what do you want to do? What is it that you want? The asking it stage. So this pacifying period is a period that we could give ourselves first, and also to our students at this point of time when we are going through this pandemic. It's with online, offline classes, blended learning, so many new normal things that are happening, and lots of uncertainties. At this point of time, this pacifying period is a time that we give ourselves and our students the space to get over the emotional exhaustion. the emotional exhaustion that has if you have fever temperature, then we understand it's something that's happening, but there are a lot of things that are happening inside. Here I would like to give a disclaimer. We are not fixers of problems. Mentors are not fixers of problems, but facilitators to solution. Most of the time we feel that when students come to us, we have an urge to fix it for them. Actually, a true mentor or a mentor in a true spirit would should be able to guide them through the solution and not give them a fixed solution. So having all these principles in the back of the mind, we'll see how we shall take through this pacifying period. Why should we do it and how should we do it? We all know that the pandemic had hit the world in March 2020, and statistics show us that 1.8 billion students were part of it. And we are there along with the 65 million teachers who have been affected, trying to make sense of the new normal classroom, and trying. Gone are the days where we used to tell the students in class, don't talk. And now we ask them to talk in our online classes. So that is the change and the shift that is happening. And around 186 countries have witnessed this unprecedented lockdown. So at this point of history, the role of mentors is very crucial. So what do we do? Of course, they come in for academic support, emotional support, spiritual support, financial support. At the same time, we are also perplexed how to take them through. We have our methods, but this method could be a kind of a structure that could process them from a disempowering state of mind to an empowering state of mind. And so here we have to have a restart, moving on with resilience. Resilience is the watchword. In this pandemic, how do we build the spirit of resilience among our students? Resilience is the capacity to withstand any trauma or adversity, and guiding them through this process of restarting and rebuilding, because many of them have just come into our classrooms, either online or offline, with scars and marks of the pandemic. And they may or may not open it up to us. And we cannot just go back to our old routine, asking them, now, have you done your work? Where are your assignments? Where are your seminars? In between, we need to really, really connect with that part of them which requires a little bit of a listening ear. And we already do that, but there is a greater necessary to restart, to rebuild. So the objective of this 1.5 hour session would be to recognize the emotional exhaustions among teaching community and the students due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the role as mentors here is very important, and how to articulate this traumatic experiences, because many of us may not be counselors. Mentors always don the role of counselors, but I would say the most that a mentor can do is to lend the listening ear. What the child needs is a listening ear, and many a time we want to go and fix whatever is happening, but just going through the experience. And yesterday, Professor Balaya very beautifully said, we have to do the role of an accompanying guide. I would like to re-insist on that. We need to accompany them because they should be able to find their own solutions. So how to let them articulate the traumatic experiences in the process, and how to help them to recoup, and how to evolve a pacifying model for use within our college communities, and prioritize self-care routine. Many psychologists say the best way to get back the students on campus is to reset their routines. Because nowadays their classroom has been shifted to their bedroom. They just switch on. I hardly know if they've brushed their teeth also, but the whole thing has happened. The change has really happened. And also to create a practice to move from resistance to resilience. This is very much important. Whenever we say change, the first thing that can come to our mind is resistance, because we have a kind of a kind of a fear of the uncertain, and we resist because that is something that is not known to us. And in order to understand resistance and change, we can just do this simple thing. Can you just put your hands together like this? Put your palms together like this. Can you just let me know if you have your right thumb up or your left thumb up? Is it your right thumb or your left thumb?
Ma'am, this is Srimoy. My right thumb is up.
Okay,
For me
okay,
also, right.
right. At a few, it could be the left. I think I do have.
Yes, Big Vijay Kharga's writing, there is the left thumb up.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
okay.
left. For Shejuti, left. For Saurabh Chakraborty, left. Richa
Okay,
Dhawan, left. Aniruddha
yeah,
Chatterjee, left.
left. Okay. And all those who said you've got your
Anurag
right thumb
Bhattacharjee, right.
up.
Monalisa Basu, right. Shraddha Sharma, left. Sunita Sherpa, left. And
Okay,
George, oh,
Father
Father George, also
left.
left. Yes.
I have my left thumb up.
Okay.
The only thing is, what I would ask you to do is, if you have your left thumb up, change it and bring your right thumb up. If you have your right thumb up, change it and bring your left thumb up. And just let me know how you feel. A little uncomfortable. It could be a little not so normal, right? But if you
Hmm.
really, a little uneasy, right? Yes.
Right.
But then you keep on doing the same thing, not really comfortable. Over a period of time, I'm sure that becomes your new normal.
Exactly.
Yes. So
Yes.
this is the kind of routine that we need, from resistance to resilience. Yes, that is the kind of environment that we need to create in our classroom with our mentees. We'll see how we can go about with that. So let's just begin. Yes. I would like the participants to list the words and terms that we have heard quite often right from March 2020, after the pandemic. What are the words that we've been repeating or listening to, or whatever that we've been hearing, speaking? What are the words that we've been listening? It could be the new dictionary that one can. Masks, yes, Shraddha. Yes, the new normal, PPE, the new normal, lockdown, yes, lockdown, mask, social distancing, pandemic, right? Social distancing. Even in your classrooms, what do we say? Now we don't ask the students to be quiet. Not comfortable contactless delivery. Yes,
Yes.
yeah. We'll have the sanitizer, online, offline, quarantine. Yes. It's a new set of words that have really come up, right? And webinars, yes, this is the new normal. Synchronous, asynchronous, offline, online, blended learning, so many things, right? And over a period of time, the repetition of words that flipped classroom, yes, Riddhi, the repetition of words in our day-to-day life, now that towards the end of the second wave and with an uncertain third wave, wishing that we don't have a third wave, we are getting back to the new normal. But there was a period of time where what has happened in the minds of the students is they've been listening to all those not so empowering words and news, and not so empowering statements that has really, really, really brought them to a kind of a standstill. In Tamil Nadu, we have opened the off campus, and we have students visiting us in batches. What I can see is the very first thing that you notice is the energy of the classroom. You just see them so fixed in their place. They don't even take an effort to answer. They know the answers. It's not that they don't know the answers. You find them just like they look at you as they look at a computer, right? And their energy level is so low that you need to really focus on psychomotor activities before you start in a class. That is something that is needed, because for almost 1 year, it has been a kind of a non-interactive classroom, although we have so many methodologies that has happened. So when we have our students back on the campus, we can see that there has been a lot of change, and it would require a few ways to just get them back. And this is one of my favorite, which this has been a prayer in the beginning of the class, just making them repeat this. I'm blessed, I'm prosperous, I'm successful, I'm victorious, I'm talented, I'm creative, I'm wise, I'm healthy, I'm in shape, I'm energetic, I'm happy, I'm positive, I'm passionate, I'm strong, confident. I would really want you all to join and tell it along with me. I don't mind the noise. Okay, you can even unmute and make some noise. That's fine. I'm secure, I'm beautiful, I'm attractive, I'm valuable, I'm free, I'm redeemed, I'm forgiven, I'm anointed, I'm accepted, I'm approved, I'm prepared, I'm qualified, I'm motivated, I'm focused, I'm disciplined, I'm determined, I'm patient, I'm kind, I'm generous, I'm excellent, I'm equipped, I'm empowered. So just see, when we are able to say so many blessings of word, I'm sure the energy lifts up. And as mentors, how can we transfer this blessing of words? And if this prayer can be taken to our classrooms, to our mentees, when you have a session with them, I'm sure this just puts them right on the track. And this is really motivating and energy lifting. If you have to make a choice from this list of blessing of words, what would be your choices? You can just unmute and say, or you can post it in the chat box also. What is your pick?
I'm blessed. I'm well able.
Excellent, excellent,
I would say I'm motivated, I'm
excellent.
patient, and I'm kind.
Wonderful. That's very assuring. I'm blessed from from Women's Christian College, Kolkata. Okay. I'm blessed. I'm
For me,
disciplined.
like it's
Yes.
I'm valuable, I'm free, I'm redeemed.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. I'm sure if we can take a deep breath right now and we are able to do that, I'm sure it's a blessing. And we all realize that. And this realization is something that we need to transfer to our students. And I'm sure when we live that, they learn it from us, not by just by saying, yeah. When they see us doing it, I'm sure they learn it. I'm so happy Digvijay has given a series of words, the blessing of words. Thank you so much. So this exercise is for our reflection, because what we tell ourselves and what we allow ourselves to hear matters. And I can vouch it with an anecdote. During the Second World War, you had a lot of war criminals, those who were taken into captivity and imprisoned in enemy countries. And one such person was there on his day of execution. He had to be executed on one particular day, and the officers come there to say that today is the day that you're going to die, but we have something to say. You will have a painless death. And he was just wondering, painless death, what is it? You will not have any lethal injection that's given, because that could send in a kind of a pain. You will not have any kind of painful things that is administered, but you will have a silent and a painful death. And this person said, okay, fine, I'm going to die. It's going to be a painless death. Then it could be really fine. And then they explain how he's going to die. They say that an IV would be injected into his hand, and they place a bottle there, and they also place an ECG monitor there, and they say that once the blood is collected from the body to the bottle, okay, like in an hour or two, you will have a painless death. He says, okay, fine, that's not a big thing. And they just blindfold him. They blindfold him. And what happens is, after a few seconds, there is this first drop of blood from the IV that is injected in his hand that goes and falls in the bottle. And he listens to that sound of it. It is like shot, right? That's how you get the sound of it. And the next drop, and the next drop. And then his mind starts to understand, because he's blindfolded, that it is his drop of blood that has been taken away, right? And for every drop of blood, he starts to profusely sweat, because he understands that every drop of blood that goes out of his body is taking him nearer to death. And another 2 hours, every drop of blood is taken, and then the ECG lines become flat and he dies. The story closes there, but it has a kind of an appendix. This case is presented in a war criminal conference. The officers in charge there make a mention that saying, um, this was done to show that it was a painless death, but there is a change to what has happened. Everything is true of what is narrated to the person, but one thing that didn't happen was not a drop of blood was collected from his body. There was another bag of blood, and from there the blood was collected, and not a single drop of blood was collected from his body, right? So it is not that the officers had put him to death. It is the thought of the war criminal that he is going to die that had brought him death. So it is so important to tell our students what we tell ourselves and what we allow ourselves to hear matters. And this is a research story, and this story tells us the power of words, and especially during this pandemic, when there is not much of a distinction between what could be empowering and disempowering. The choice of words and the seeds of thoughts that we imprint or sow in our students' minds, mentees' minds, really matter. So, this workbook or this session would help us to move from a disempowering state of mind where we had all these words, okay, all these words like anxiety, fear, loneliness, all these things that could be in the mind of the students, and then move on to being happy, being loved, and just telling oneself. That is very, very important. So, this transition from disempowering to an empowering set of words and a state of mind is what we will be focusing on. And the teacher is the most revered, especially in the great Indian tradition. And we find that he or she dawns on different roles. We have the role of Pak, which is like the one who gives information, and the one who offers knowledge and information is known as Upade, and the one who imparts skills is known as the Acharya, and the one who delves in deep into the subject with insights is known as the Pandit. Here is where you have all the research guides who would really fall into the Pandit category, and you have Drishta who gives a visionary view on a subject. Drishta is a person who does not really speak about what is only in the subject. He or she will speak about why something is not in a subject and why something can be in a subject. Okay, that is the level of wisdom the person would have, and a guru would awaken the wisdom in a student. So the teacher in a great Indian tradition dawns on various roles, and teaching is an art of assisting discovery. Many a time we feel we are uh, telling something, we are giving something. Actually, the finest art of teaching and the finest art of mentoring is to allow the student to discover one's own potential. So we are just like a lighthouse, a signpost, a direction map, and we just accompany the students, and the students do the discovery on their own. And a mentor is somebody who facilitates any of these roles according to the need of the student. So he or she can be a person who gives information, or he or she could be a visionary on to give a view on a subject. It could be a personal space or an academic space. And mentors really create a kind of a discovery in the student's life. And at this point of time, I am who I am because of a mentor, not because he or she decided to mentor me. It is because I allowed myself to be mentored by the person, because the person didn't have anything to say to me. I was mentored by seeing what the person does rather than what the person says. So, the first important quality a mentor should have is the ethos of the person. The ethos of a person is the correlation between what the person thinks, the thought, the word that the person says, and the action. If there's a connection between the thought, word, and action in a mentor, the mentor has the greatest impact. So that is the first thing that is needed. And the second thing is a mentor has a listening ear where the student is able to open up to what the person feels. Yes, and a listening ear is enabled when the mentor does not make any judgmental statements. And after the listening is over, the main thing that is required is maybe two sentences can be really therapeutic. Yes, you can just say, how do you feel now? It is not even required to say, I understand how you feel. Most of the time, we would like to say, I understand how you feel. I'm sure authentically we may not understand what they feel all the time, but we can always ask them, how do you feel now? And the next question is, what would you like to do about this? These two directing questions can always assist the art of discovery. And in your registration form, you had given me wonderful responses of how what you think a mentor's role is. And you all have done phenomenal work by taking time to meet them. This is from your responses. You've taken time to talk to them about the problem. You've taken time to have telephonic conversations, give them academic support, emotional support, guide them spiritually, professionally. And you believe, this was one of my favorites. I believe the relationship between the mentor and the students evolves with time. Okay, it is not something that is defined, but that which is evolved. And many of you had written listening. It's absolutely right. Listening, talking, and demonstrations. You give them career guidance and personal guidance by talking to them, taking them outside. You spend time with them, and by encouraging them and also guiding them through their narrations. Yes. At this point of time, I would like you to really note that whenever we are talking about mentoring, we are facilitating solutions, we are facilitating some kind of growth or process and not fixing. When we become fixers, we may temporarily give them a kind of a solution, but we do not really teach them how to do the fishing. We may give them a fish because they are hungry, but we are not trying to give them the art of fishing. So, whenever we speak about mentoring, it is good to know that it is a process of facilitating and not fixing. And this workbook that was designed especially for IAC's national level workshop is also a kind of a direction of how we can process this pacifying model at any stage. It need not be restricted only to the pandemic. This can move on beyond that also. And here, when we understand the pacifying model, as I told you, this is to give the mentees the time and space to get over their emotional exhaustion. And it is a workbook both as a self-learning resource. You would be delighted to do work on it for yourself and also to administer it for your students. So this is the pacifying model that I was talking about, and it is a kind of a three-step process. So as I told you, this is similar to the baby calming phase, where when a baby falls down, it is a kind of a crisis it has met. So it shouts out, it expresses, right? So we give this workbook gives you a period or exercises where you allow the students to vent it all. Vent it all is to express the time and space to express. It can be to grieve or to just get over kind of irritation, right? And the second step is after they pour their heart out. Many of you were even asking yesterday what to do with people who do not really open up. Maybe the exercises that are given here, if they're not able to verbalize, they would be able to at least write it, find ways of processing themselves through writing. So that could be an aid. The second step is the swaddle time. The swaddle time is the supporting time where you assure them that there is support. It need not be the mentor counsels the whole thing if you are not a qualified counselor, but I'm sure you have qualified counselors. So you could direct them towards the kind of counselor who can help them, or if they've gone through a kind of a financial restraint, if you have scholarships, you can guide them through that. So what kind of help is required? If it's going to be academic, I'm sure you would be able to help them through. So the swaddle time in step 2 is the period where you recognize and give them a choice of what kind of support would they really like to take. And the third step is the ask it spell. This ask it spell is a period of flexibility and inclusivity. And it is here we restart and we help them to take the resilient step to bounce forward. I won't even say bounce backward. Okay, bounce back again. I wouldn't say bounce back again. It's to bounce forward, because a motivating speaker, Sam Cawthon, says, when you say you have to be resilient, you need to bounce forward, and we let's not say bounce back, because when you bounce back, you go back to the same place from where you've fallen. So it's good to bounce forward, and you can ask them, from here, what would you like to do about the things that has happened, or where do you want to go from here? So this is once upon a June, right? When we had students on campus, you had the laughter, the smile, the chatter, all those things. And for many of us, this June is like this, as icons, as with small windows through which you're able to see them. And we are trying to have a blend of both on campus and off campus. At this point of time, as I spoke to you before, everyone who is alive today has survived a kind of loss. It could be as severe from a loss of a loved one to a loss of self due to boredom or loneliness, fear or anxiety, or the loss of routine, the loss of regular opportunities to get back to work, to get back to studies. So, this kind of loss, how do we process it, or how do we take time to express it? It's very important. And it's a kind of different kinds of things which students by now would have what to say, people would have just thought, okay, life, we have to move on. We have a kind of statements which really create a kind of what psychologists would say as toxic positivity. Positivity is necessary, but toxic positivity is with unprocessed emotions, you try to build on positivity, because there are a lot of students, your mentees would be like, they have not had the time to mourn a loss. They, many a time in the first wave and also in the second wave, people would have not had the custom privilege to see them off. They would have just got the ashes. It was colorless and emotionless. And for a few others, they never even received it. Many have lost jobs, uh, the parents, siblings, more than one deaths in a family. They've been affected or revived from COVID, endlessly tired. There's been a loss of smell, taste, love, so many things. And it is from this pang of loss, grief, anxiety, I would say both the teachers and the students have just come back to the next year. Okay. And there is a part of us that is withered, battered, bruised, hurt psychologically, numb at some point of time. Because if there has not been any trauma, there's been a kind of closing up. We've not had our social interactions. We have not revived from social recreation. So we are coming into a phase where this has to be processed a little, and there is a great need to create an ambience of revival. We have Shefali Sabari, a New York based clinical psychologist, who says that with the pandemic, we've hit the rock bottom and we wouldn't sink further. But we are left with one choice, either to wilt and wither or to revive and renew. So, if our choice is to revive and renew, I'm sure we need this calming down space, a space for revival. I would personally say we need to take time for ourselves first. Only when we are able to revive can we really give that kind of energy to our mentees and students. And for this pacifier period, which is also called as the golden pacifier period, which would really help. So it be it your online or offline or blended learning time, whenever it is, make sure in your classrooms or in your mentoring spaces, your mentees go through the three stages. You can plan it. If you have 3 hours per week and in a semester you meet them for say 10 to 15 hours, you can divide it between these three periods. You can customize it according to your need by using the exercises, and these exercises are just directions. Doing this exercise according to the need of the student, I'm sure you will be creatively bringing up certain ways of processing, so these become your cues. May I know if you had taken time to go through the workbook?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, okay then.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes.
Yeah, okay then. So when we speak about this Ventitol period, it is a little more of understanding why is it. When we say Ventitol in the first model, first step of the pacifying period, it's like the baby has fallen down. When a baby falls down, it naturally cries. It cries because of fear. Okay, it cries because of the pain. And only when it is allowed to vent out its feelings, will it move on to the next stage. So globally, our response has been one of fear and anxiety. And this right now, somehow we have got used to it, and somewhere it could be a kind of a sediment that has been unprocessed. And this period, the Ventitol period, is primarily to take time and space to express what they have felt. It could be like they have not processed something, so it can be made very informal. It need not be do it. You need to do it now. Now vent it all. No. Just allow it. Give them the choice. If you have 3 or 4 mentees, you can do it in a group also for them. And if they're okay sharing it, and you can also evolve a kind of a self-help questionnaire and a need audit after the why is this period required. Once you've done it with the exercises that have been given, you would be able to make sense of what kind of support does this child need, right? So this can help you to move to the next step. Most of the time, we might, in our anxiety to help, could overlook this stage and give them quick fix solutions, which, like a quick fix, will not stay for long, right? So the main purpose of this Ventitol period is to find out what is the need or the kind of need of support that your mentees would require. And in your workbooks, in your workbooks, you can find this exercise where you can ask the students to just write out what has been the uh, most important emotions that have been associated with them during this period. If they have not undergone any loss, then you can make it into a very general statement. What kind of emotions have you undergone through this period of 1.5 years? Or how do you feel right now? It could be just how do you feel right now? If somebody is going to ask you, how do you feel right now? How many of us can respond to it? I'm just asking you that question. How do you feel right now?
I'm feeling very positive and hopeful by listening to you, and also by reading the workbook that you have given.
Thank you.
It has a very positive effect on me.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Yes. The others can also just post it in the chat box so that we can go through it. And to help you to identify, there is a word list also. I would really ask you to run through the word. Once when you run through the word, you will really feel that you can connect yourself. So when we do it for our mentees, you can ask them, engrossed. Okay. Thank you. In order to process emotions, feeling calm and soothing effect, optimistic, beyond the computer, I can feel that. Thank you. Positive and relaxed, yes. While you do this exercise for them, you can give them this word list. It's there as a part of curious. Okay, thank you, Professor Digvijay. Yeah. Ask them to go through every word and you can ask them to tick, right? Tick the words. So it could be like you give them a kind of a cue to how they feel. And once they go through that, they will be, okay, Rudy, yeah. Once they go through that, they will be in connection with the texture of their feelings. Many a time, especially when we deal with teenagers, they do not really know what they are going through. For them, they feel it's happening only to them. It's only to them. Yes. And I really remember once one of my students, I'm somebody who will pick up energies and Mona Lisa, thank you. So looking at a face, you understand what the child is. And I cannot just like that pass by a student who is feeling lost, even if I don't know. Yes, just to assure, are you okay? Maybe we cannot be fixers, but just to say that somebody is looking at you, seeing you, giving you an eye, right? So once where I was just walking from my classroom to my staff room, there was a student with like frowning and standing like this, and I just asked, "Are you okay?" I asked, "Are you upset over something?" Immediately the child said, "I'm not angry." Okay, so the child really does not know what exactly, and this wordless this takes time. Maybe for the first meeting you can process the first three sets, and then for the second meeting according to the speed of the child or the time that's taken in the whole process, we can make them more emotionally aware and also tell them that every emotion is fine. It's okay to feel the way you feel. It's okay to acknowledge it. And the only way out of any emotion is through it. So, this Ventatol period is a kind of a period where the child comes out with what. Yes, Professor Agarwal, we need not, one thing as mentors, let's give them the choice. Choice is something that's needed, and they can choose any number of words, and they can even, every word can be connected not only to the present moment, but it could be connected to something in the past. A word can trigger a past memory. Yes, and just our role is very simple there. Just assure them it's okay. Sometimes a child can say, I don't feel any of these. Say them it's okay. Just ask them if you feel that you can connect with any of these sometime later, that time you can choose to talk with me. Give them the choice. So this period can always help us to find out how how much of support or what kind of support will the mentee need. And this is a relevant checklist that I found it very useful because it also helped me to understand understand. Many a time in our anxiety to comfort someone, we go and give them very positive words without acknowledging what they are going through. Okay, I've seen quite a number of people trying to pacify somebody, saying, you should be strong, okay? You are the one, you have to take up the family forward. Yes, a pain is a pain. Even if I've had a deeper cut, a pinprick still pains if it pains for someone. And this resource, I had taken it from millionsmiles.com, which is run by a very, very able psychologist, somebody who works from real time experiences, whom I've quoted in this worksheet also, RTC Rajaratnam. It's her input. She says, these are some of the things that you have to avoid when you are trying to pacify someone during a ventitol period or any time. Okay, if they've been through a loss, these are the things to avoid. She'd quite had a long life, others aren't that lucky. So just like that, trying to normalize the whole thing. It's all for the best. They are in a better place. They brought this on themselves, blaming someone. There must be a reason for this. Everything has a purpose. Okay, we are trying to be philosophers. Many of these statements, even I never knew that we shouldn't be saying, right? And I consciously try to overcome it, and with all good intention that we want to really be very supportive. But I knew when somebody told me all these things, it never worked with me, right? Because somebody comes and tells me, be strong. I'm sure the very first thing is, I'm strong, that's why I'm alive, but it's painful, right? And he has been around for a long time now. Are you thinking about the person? Okay, God takes away those who are good too soon. So these are cliched responses, which does not really bring in a kind of comfort, which we believe it does. And one statement I'm still trying to work on is, I know how you feel. Many a time I jump into this. I'm sure many of you would relate with that also. And I'm consciously, when I don't know how the other person feels, there are times you know that when how the other person feels. When you don't know how the other person feels, I'm sure authentically we should restrain from that. And we also say her time has come. She did what she came here to do and be strong. So these are some of the things that we need to avoid. So if we have to eliminate all of this, what is it that we need to say, right? It's good to connect with the person and acknowledge the person's feeling by remembering the time with one of the favorite memories, in case you know the person, if it's going to be a friend or somebody you know, right? And very simply, we can just say, I'm very sorry for your loss. And our silence speaks more, right? And also acknowledge, I wish I knew what to say. Even so, just know I'm here for you, right? I don't know how you must be feeling now. Just know that I care about what you are going through. I'm here for you if you need someone to talk to. This statement is something that has always helped a lot of people. And when people told me this, it personally has helped me also. And I'm sure it would really make a difference. I'm sorry you're suffering. Is there anything I can do to help you? Just give them a hug if it is appropriate. Just hold their hand. We do it quite often because at that point of time, that it's just a silent support that would give them the comfort that they need. And everyone needs help from time to time. I'm always here for you. You're not in this alone, right? I'm here for you and your family for anything you need. So these sentences could really help, and you can just uh, customize it or make it relevant accordingly to you when you have to tell it to your students. For us it would be, I'm here for you if you need to talk to someone, right? That would really help. And once we process this Ventitol period, next we have the Swaddle time. The Swaddle time is the time when we have when we know what is the need that the person uh, requires, and many a time it could be a kind of psychological support or a counseling. Unless and until you are a qualified psychologist, it may not really help for us to venture in it. If it's going to be a severe traumatic case, I'm sure it's best to reach out to a counselor. And if you identify most of the more and more students need it, then you could ask your management to bring in a kind of a therapy session or a group therapy and support through rehabilitation. And you can make simple, you're not alone in this. We are there for you, carrying gestures. You could just every time you walk across, you could just smile at the person, just check on the person, not giving too much of attention, but the needed attention. Sometimes I just send in how are you note to the student, to my because we would have a kind of 5 to 10 students to mentor for a semester. So how was your week, right? And now you have your WhatsApp, everything, relevant, supportive messages, not just forwards, but relevant from your heart. Authentic ones could really help. And I would also suggest for managements, in case teachers are going through that, it is a time that people should be given a short paid holiday or a lesser working time for or a lesser responsibility. So this swaddle time, when we talk about when a baby falls and when a baby gets up, you have the parents or the grandparents or the elders of the family go and just carry it and just say, okay, you'll be all right, are you feeling okay? That is the kind of support, the kind of support. It could be a kind of an academic support. Maybe the child is not able to focus to at this point of time. Today this happened. We have this on-campus students, the final year is coming in, and we have some dress restrictions for our students. So you have student council members who are waiting there, and there was a student who had come in, and a particular kind of dress is not allowed inside our campus, and she had worn it. So the student council member had told that you're not supposed to wear, and immediately there was a kind of a displaced anger, and this student started to shout at the leader, saying, and insisted, I'm going to wear only such kind of dresses. And even the child shouted back at the student council member, and this student council member was flabbergasted. Immediately, they came and reported to me. I just ask her what happened. Most of the time, we immediately judge. Okay, I took some time to find out, to listen to both sides. I asked the student council members, repeated the sentences what the student had told, and this student I asked, "Do you have an explanation? Why did you say that?" And immediately the child started to cry, and she said, "Ma'am, I just lost my father, and uh, uh, when this person was questioning me, somehow I shouted. It took at least half an hour for us to talk about these things, right? And then the student council member could not really take it because she had been very polite and kind, and she had been very aggressive towards her. And a little bit of, what would you like to say? And then the student on her own said, Ma'am, I would like to apologize to the person. And in that way, it got settled. So, students, every day we understand they come as a bundled up of piled emotions, and without giving them that minute or that listening ear, it would be really, really penalizing for us to administer corrective statements or actions. So here the focus is like the pandemic has brought the world more closer. Even if you know people or you don't know people, you're able to relate them with a soul to soul connection, because life itself has become very, very precious. And if this challenge has brought in more humanity, more concern, more love to give, more kindness to share, I think we are getting into a better new normal. And this swaddle time is one such period where we can do this for our mentees. Do we have any questions at this point of time? I've been talking for quite some time, or should I continue?
Ma'am, we had one question from Gunjan Agarwal. I think you
Okay,
have answered her question. That
okay.
was, should we ask them to select any number of
Yeah.
products or should we limit it?
Uh,
So that was from presentation, from your
okay.
slides,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
slides. So
So,
this was
okay.
one. And another question was from that work story. from Professor Debodhuti, Department of History, Scottish Church College. And sir's question was, was the war criminal not subjected to psychological torture? So this was the question from your story.
I'm sure
Professor
he
Debodhuti
was.
Banerjee, History Department.
Yeah, I'm
Scottish Church
sure he
College.
was. I'm sure he was. And that is how war criminals are treated. Either physically they are tortured, or it was a kind of a psychological torture. The thought from that is like thoughts are so powerful. Thoughts are so powerful. And this psychological torture was implemented by an enemy country. So this is a kind of a motive. What we understand from there is when thoughts are powerful, what we allow ourselves to hear and say, they are seeds that go deep inside. Yes, and even you have therapists who say we have what is called as the pineal gland that is in the center of a skull. You can see it very visibly on a newborn baby, where you can feel the lumped up of the pineal gland here, and it's a very soft place here. And that pineal gland is a record of all the words that we listen and say. So when we are going to tell the student, uh, if you don't study well, you will fail, the record of fail goes in here. It is important for us to reword and say, work hard and you shall pass. So the reconstructing of the positive narrative has a lot of effect. So just to bring in that effect, and this was something that was researched, I wanted to share that. I hope that is clarified. Yes? Okay, let me just continue.
Yes.
The exercise that is given here is for the swaddle period. You can ask the mentees to identify the existing support system. Who are their support system? Because we cannot be there throughout. Yeah. So it could be a trusted friend, or it could be a professional, it could be a family member. And what are the other kinds of support? So here the need audit is done. And to process this, you should have at least 3 to 6 months according to the need. So this is a kind of a signpost for us to take it into the direction of support that is required. And once the support is given and the student really feels a little better, you'll be able to gauge that. You can see it in the academic performance or in the day-to-day behavior of the student. That's the time we can ask one pertinent question. So what do you want to do now? Rather than we always say, now you should study well, now you should go for this, now you should go for that. Plain statement is make sure asking the student, what is it that you want to do now? Where do you want to move from here? And the exercise that is given here is let the student write down what are the 5 things that the student wants to do it in the personal space and in the academic space. So when the student is able to spell it, it's a promise that the person has made, because the pandemic has given us no choices. Yes, we human beings exercise choices when we go to a shopping mall, when we go to a supermarket. For more than a year's time, if we have to just go through the experience that we had, we were locked in. We were asked to do certain things in a very limited space. So choice has been deprived. So giving choices can lead to mistakes also, but through mistakes, students can also unlearn things and move forward. So we can ask them to write down the personal and academic goals that they have. And if you have your mentees together, they can just share it into the larger group and put it for discussion and process and finalize on common growth indicators. And this is one of my favorite. This you can we can practice it personally, and we can also ask our mentees to do it. Maybe you can take 2 statements for every meeting and you can process it also. So shall we just try to do it here? Yeah. So this is the list of the blessings that we've received even during the pandemic. And it's good to take a moment to say thank you for the many things, because I'm grateful for being alive, and thank you. Thank God for it. thank the lovely people around who could be. So if you have to be thankful for something, what would you like to be thankful for? You can unmute and say or post it in the chat box. It would be nice to listen to.
I'm thankful that I have my loved ones, that is my husband and my daughter with me.
Praise God. Lovely, lovely.
I'm thankful for everything, whatever I have at this point of life. My life, my health, my loved ones, my career, my job, my everything. I'm really blessed and really thankful for this life.
Absolutely. Yes. Thanks for sharing. If I can just hear it from others, is it somebody's posting in the chat box? I'm not able to see.
No, ma'am, nothing
Okay.
so far.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just go through one. Ishita, you want to say something? Yes.
Yes, Sunita Sherpa.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for all the blessings I have received.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Debodoti Banerjee, thankful to God for everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Devlina Gopalan, for the people who helped me in the pandemic.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And we have what is known as gratitude journal. A gratitude journal is something like um, they ask you to write for 40 things you're thankful every day,
Yes.
and you shouldn't repeat the list. And you will see amazingly, right from the ability to move your hand, okay, to smile, to see, and just to speak, to listen. When we start listing this out, there is a kind of a blessing that really flows through. And if we are able to mentor this attitude of gratitude in our students, I'm sure that would be the finest lessons that we can enable them to learn. And you can ask them, I'm immensely blessed to have. You can ask them to list out the persons, name them, so that it is a kind of a concrete thing that they could see. I give thanks for, I'm truly grateful for. Why? Because for what? The reason, with all my heart, thank you for. So this catalog of gratitude could be a daily practice. It could be in your classroom. You can begin your class this way. You can end your class, your mentoring sessions. In that way, this also constantly reminds us for the things that we need to be thankful for. And I love the ikigai way of living, which the Japanese really follow. The Japanese have listed out ways for longevity, and they say what you love to, and what you're good at, and what you feel the world needs, and what you feel motivated. If all the four are aligned, then you have a purpose for living. Ikigai is a simple Japanese term which says, what is that one bright thing that makes you happy when you wake up? It really puts you on your feet to do that. What is that something that makes you? For example, if you're going to ask a singer, I'm sure the singer is going to say, I love singing. Singing really wakes me up every day morning. Now, I would request the participants to just tell me, what is it that you love to do anytime, every time? What is it? Maybe you can just take 30 seconds to think about it. What is it that you love to do anytime, every time that brings in lots of energy for you? Something active, not sedentary like watching movie, where you are not participating, something where you are involved to, and what you really love to do. Riddhi says you love to read. Yes.
I love to plan for future trips and traveling.
Okay, okay, fine. Gardening, reading, research. Okay. Okay. This question has a link to the next one. What are you good at doing? What is that one thing for sure you are the best? Okay, Sunita says you love to do everything that you have to do. It's a really warm acceptance. Yes. It's good to identify what is that one good thing that you are real. Painting. Oh, that's lovely. Love to engage your kids in different activities. Love eating. Okay, Sunita. You love to work for others. Narayan. Okay. Singing, helping others. Bhavana. Okay. Snoozing. Okay. Fine. Is it for love to do or you're good at snoozing?
Both, ma'am.
Wonderful. Okay. Actually, rest is something that's very much needed. You may not have time to sleep, but time to snooze. I'm sure maybe that's what you mean, or I would take it that way. And my next question is, you will want to do what the world needs. So, what is it that you think that the world needs? What is it that the world needs that you could do? It's actually a very deep question. Spread love, yes. Your empathy, yeah. Helping others, prayer and care, okay. Service, okay. Support others even in small ways, okay. Spread positivity, help and care, okay. Yeah, kindness, yes, Shraddha, yeah. Here, I would like you to focus a little. I would want you to connect it to something specific that you are capable of doing and what the world would also need. It could be a kind of research in a particular subject. It could be a kind of the way you talk to people. Okay, spread harmony. This is the spirit. It's everything the spirit. I'm asking in action verbs. Action, something very concrete. For example, you're good in painting. Somebody had posted painting. Okay. What is it that you have something when you offer it to the world? Mona Lisa, beautiful teaching. Yes. Share your reading. Exactly.
Yeah.
What is it that you are good at and the world needs? This is a beautiful connection because this adds value to what you are and you add value to the world around you. Shraddha, beautiful listening. Very good, Bhavna. Listening is something that is really, really keeping the human people alive. Caring, yeah. Teaching, yes, absolutely. I would really want you to be inspiring, wonderful, yes. I would want you to take a closer look at this connection of what you're good at. Teaching again, yes. I would say I'm good at writing, and I would like to give the world my writing for a particular purpose. Yes. And when you say teaching, helping the students to become better human beings, yes. When this becomes what you are, what you love to, what you are good at, and what the world needs, when this is aligned, that's your ikigai, and that keeps you motivated. Because what you like to do and what is well received is a kind of motivation, and you try to delve into it further and further, and you become an expert in that. I love to teach about leadership and communication. I'm good at it. Yes, I love to do that. And I know the world needs also, and I feel very motivated when I have to do it. So the whole thing has one connection. And maybe when we invest a little more time, we'll be able to find that all the four questions have a connected answer. This keeps us in what is called as a resourceful state. A resourceful state is when you do something that you like to do, and when you're good at it, and when it is accepted as a need, there is a kind of energy. You could be doing it the whole day and still be bright in the evening. There is a lot of energy that comes. I'm sure a singer would do that. The person would be singing the whole day. A dancer would be doing that. So when we find our ikigai, the ikigai becomes the purpose And that purpose keeps us in a resourceful state, and we keep sharing and spreading the love. That is the time you spread kindness because you're good at it. You're helping others and you love to do. It is not squeezed out of you. You're willingly able to give. And when we are able to find that out, and this, when we process it with the students, that is the time they become, that's a step towards resilience. When we can help them to find what they love to do. We have to go back to Stephen Covey's time management, where they don't talk about those time wasters. Many a time, students would say, "I love to watch movie," right? But does the world need that? Are you really a pro in that? That doesn't really pass those questions. Listen to that, encourage them, fine, but then take them closer to it. And when you mentor this ikigai in them, I'm sure you make a difference for their lifetime. You make a difference for them for a lifetime. You help in the, you assist them in this art of discovering themselves. And this ikigai need not be that you are just getting paid for something. It will resonate with you. You are happy doing it. I'm sure I could see that ikigai spirit in Eshita and Shimoy because I know from the time they attended Ayache, it's been quite some time. There were times I was not able to respond to them. There were days and months they really pursued and got this done, right? And with all your workload, everything, you're able to positively take it forward and you're able to find time for that. And the world also needs it. That becomes that beautiful purpose and that resonates with you. I hope you're able to get that connect of it. Yes. So if at this period, in the ask it all period, when you are able to help the students to find this a goal that they have chosen to set, a goal where they speak about what they love to and what they're sure about. Yeah. When their love, their mission, their vocation, profession, and passion are one, I'm sure it will always, always help them to really find a resilient path towards a better tomorrow because it will always help them to reaffirm, relocate, recover, refocus, and reinvigorate. And this word ikigai, when you have to even pronounce, they ask you to do it with a smile. E. Okay, E. When you say E, you have to smile. And I remember, of course, those who have attended IACHE would remember Father Wilson's session where he says, practice smiling to yourself every time. Yes, even when you're ironing, smile and iron. So in that way, it really, really recreates the happy hormones inside you. So here, when we start practicing all those things, and when a student, even in the most frustrated moments, when we walk past, sometimes we try to ignore the good mornings because we are preoccupied. You are able to connect with the present moment. I'm not talking asking about asking you to be perfect all the time, but just being more consciously available to people around, being more conscious in the present moment. I'm sure when you can process this ikigai for your students as mentors, you will be really breaking open the path for them, right? And in the beginning, we were talking about resetting routines. So the workbook also has a set of self-care daily routines. So if you have to reset a routine, you should have done it in the past, you've taken a break, or you want to start a routine which you've been thinking for long. Which one of this would be, if I can ask the participants, to begin and end your day with prayer? You wanted to have it as a routine for yourself. Yes, we'll first start it with us and then move on to the students. Smile for 1 minute. We've given you the reasons also. Okay, meditate for 5 minutes. If you see, these are very, very small things that we've given, right? A gratitude walk. A gratitude walk could be just around your house or in one of your rooms, thinking about the things that you are grateful for, and you walk around. A positive self talk, thought shifters. Think about anything that makes you happy, a place, thing, right? These are all very, very short short timed routines, a journaling, and unlimited fun, which can bring in a lot of joy and vibrancy. If you have to pick any of this, which one would you like to, if I can ask the participants?
Ma'am, I will start with the first. Begin and end my day with prayer.
Prayer. Okay,
When
yes,
I do that, I always practice gratitude.
yes, yes, wonderful.
Meditation, I have tried and I try, but most of the times I'm still fighting because I find it very difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
I have taken many types of help, different types of help also, but
Okay,
still I'm struggling.
yeah. A lot of you have given positive self-talk. Yes. Gratitude walk, thought shifters. Father says, never fight the meditation. The struggle is also meditation.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes, Father. Smile for 1 minute and positive self-talk. Wonderful. Yes. If we can choose that, yes, I would urge you to just note it down right now, because we have a place. What is your pick? You can note it down, and let's be very, very specific. When will you practice it? Because we are all very busy, right? We have so many things to do, and we take at least a minute for all of this. That's where we can talk about practicing Kaizen. Kaizen is change for good, right? And Kaizen is what, again, the Japanese say, it's just for 1 minute you start this daily care routine. Most of the time we think, I'm going to walk for half an hour today. And we oversleep that day. And what happens? Our goals are not really met. So Kaizen says any routine that you need to set, at least for a month or so, practice it exactly for 1 minute consistently at the same time. For example, you want to take your gratitude walk, say 7 to 7:1 in the morning, every day from 7 to 7:1, do it like you would do for fasting. Because while we are fasting, we never break anything. Yes, even if they're going to give us our favorite food or ice cream or chocolates, we say we are fasting. I'm also reading the chat side by side when you say prayer and okay, meditation goes together. Yes. Well, so whichever daily ritual we've taken a pick, we need to say when are we going to do it and practice it every day, at least for 1 minute. We can tell our students it need not be for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, at least for a month. Whatever happens, 7 to 7:1, you will be seen doing that. Then it sets into your routine pattern and it becomes a part of it. You integrate it. So you can make a statement for yourself. You can even type it in the chat box so that we tell ourselves, I'm happy to choose whichever the daily routine is. I will do it from when, the date, yes, between the time. For longer time, 20 minutes. Okay, Shita. So between the time, right? From when to when every day. If we can just take 1 minute if all of us could just do it for 1 minute, write it in the chat box. It's a kind of telling it to ourselves. Okay, once when we make it as a commitment. Usually in the workshops, we ask the participants to write and come up and read it so that when you pledge that in front of everyone, it's a kind of a promise you make to yourself for you to do that, right? So, can we take at least 30 seconds to to write it down? When will you practice it? You know your routine. You alone will know how your schedule is. If you can just do it, maybe 30 seconds. I'll just be silent, giving you the time to do it. Yeah, I understand all of you are posting your thoughts. Yeah, thought shifting at every point. Okay. And morning 5 a.m. I'm happy when you can specify the time because that brings in a kind of a commitment, right? Every night after dinner, yes, gratitude walk. You'll try to meditate 15 minutes, yes. Um, Taking a little more of time, and if you have to really specify the time, those statements really create a greater impact. Richa says positive self talk every morning. Remove the negative thoughts from your mind every morning. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll also look forward to your rest of your responses while I proceed. This phase of Ask It Spell is where you can definitely help your students because previously you would have spoken about the Ikigai and this self care coupled with the self care daily routine. I'm sure it will really practically help them to take one step forward every day towards a resilient tomorrow. Yeah. Very quickly, let me tell you uh, why is a pacifying period or a model absolutely necessary? I'm quoting from my conversation with R.T.C. Rajaratnam, uh, renowned psychologist and author, where she says, in a pandemic or in any crisis, whenever the body is stressed with uncertainty, fear, anxiety, we develop what is called as a cortisol response or a stress response. So when there is a stress response, immediately we go into our old trauma responses of fight, flight, freeze, and also fawn. So what happens when we are mostly we know doctors nowadays say reduce your stress level, reduce your stress level. That is something not really tangible. We are not able to really relate with it. But my conversation with Ms. Aarti gave me a better understanding, stating that whenever we are in a cortisol response or when we are stressed, what happens is we think from a brain stem level, which moves into a survival mode. And if you are in a prolonged cortisol response, when there is when you have your stress levels high, we do not access the emotionality or our thinking centers. So, primarily, when our students are not able to access their thinking centers, learning does not take place. And if they are preoccupied with a kind of a stress, and as we discussed earlier, our teenagers may not even be aware of what is happening. Okay. So, what happens in such situation? People tend to function at a very low level of emotional regulation, and you cannot expect much of innovation, creativity, curiosity, or exploration because all of this is learner centric. So, what a pacifying period when you take your mentees through your Ventitol, Swaddle, and Ask It spell is actually going to help is to help the student move towards a safety net, an emotional safety, a kind of a perceived safety or a physical safety where the cortisol response is reduced and they are given time once they process, they get into a balanced chemical structure. So, in doing so, once this happens, they become more functional and they're able to connect with relationship. And what happens is emotionality. And when they take time to process it, they move beyond their thoughts and losses alone. So, the pacifying period primarily resets the neurological processes to move from the stress or the cortisol response. And this has a science behind because there are three basic needs for any human being, be it at a workplace or our learning centers. We need to have the need of safety and security. When this need is met, only then can it lead to learning and curiosity. So, in a COVID 19 pandemic situation, if their safety is not taken care and somehow they are they are compelled to get back to colleges without taking health protocols, primarily all of them will be focusing only on the safety and security concern. And any amount of teaching, any great teacher cannot bring in anything, and their learning and curiosity will be under question. So this pacifying period can help to reassure the safety and security. And there should be a kind of satisfaction. That is why giving them choices. Would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? All those things, when you give them the choice, there's a kind of a motivation because they've made a choice. When that satisfaction need is met, it moves on to creativity and innovation. And then during the pacifying period, we also find that there is a need to be loved. There is a connection which has been stopped for quite some time because through the online classes, we've been only delivering subjects. Not many of us could take time to relate with them. And in an offline class, we would relate with them as human beings. So they would experience love and contribute more productively. So this is the scientific evidence why a pacifying period, what a pacifying period can help our students to move on to learning and curiosity, creativity and innovation, and experience love and contribute more productively. So thus, on a closing note, this workbook and this model of pacifying period with its exercises would help us to revive, renew, and reinvigorate our mentees' focus. Yes, and these exercises are self-work based and they are stretched over 3 phases. And for us to remember, mentoring is moving from being fixers to facilitators. It is very important. And we would experience a lot of resistance from our students, and we would take them on the path to resilience. So, this would be our focus. We are not just problem fixers, but facilitators to solution. And we would be accompanying our students from resistance to resilience. And as Shafali Sabri said, we are at the rock bottom and we feel that things are falling apart and the new normal has not really taken a kind of a shape. All the things are falling apart. I would like to assure that we are also in the center of an opportunity to hold on together, to reaffirm and recover. And through our mentoring programs, by giving them space to express and explore, I'm sure we would be creating an environment to revive, renew, and reinvigorate. So, thank you so much. And this is the time for discussion.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. And I would just like to mention that our another resource person, Dr. John Balaya, has joined us just 2 minutes back. So that is the reason
Okay.
I'm writing. So, sir, we are welcoming you, and we are glad you have joined today with us.
Hello, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
How are
All
you,
the best,
sir?
Doctor. Yes, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, organizers, for welcoming me.
Okay. So now the floor is open for discussion. If you have any question, please, you can also raise the question because we have time. You can unmute yourself and raise your question, or you can write it in the chat box. It's up to you. So we will discuss.
I would like to add one point. Whenever we don't have questions, 2 things have happened. One thing is you've understood everything, or nothing has really gone in. So I would like to know which part it is.
No, ma'am. Actually, it is not like that. It was, we were so engrossed, and it's like you have touched our emotions, and we really could reconnect with your thoughts. So maybe that is the reason. And when you were doing all this practical things, all of us, we were taking, we were participating. So that time maybe.
Okay, okay, Shita. Thank you. Thank you so much. Just trying to understand the silence.
Actually, sometimes this kind of silence bothers us also in the classroom.
When it's in a
Does,
reflective mode. Yes.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Does really keeping a gratitude journal, does it really help us in healing ourselves?
I cannot say it is very prescriptive, but it always reminds us, gets us into an abundance mentality. It's a kind of habit that we develop where it puts you on an abundance mentality. That is what I personally felt also. When you say healing, it also depends on what kind of healing is required. If it could be simple things which does not have any does not need any deeper interventions, I'm sure our usual conflicts, it really puts you on the right track. But if it has been a kind of a trauma or a deep-seated anxiety, it can be supportive, but it would not be something very, very complete without any kind of therapy.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session, really.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any more question or discussion or anything you want to share? I mean,
ma'am, am I supposed to ask some clinical question here?
Clinical, I may not be the right person if Professor Balaya would, because I don't have a psychology background. Maybe if Professor Balaya can take it up.
Actually, the thing is, like, if I have bipolar patient,
Sorry,
so the patient is, yeah. Am I audible
yes,
properly?
yes, now.
I have.
we are not getting your voice.
Is it clear?
Actually, the voice is breaking.
Okay, okay.
Now we can hear you.
All right. I was just saying that there is a bipolar patient who has very high goals. So the ikigai that we have done right now, so that was something which changed my mind at all. So is it something that we can apply with these bipolar student?
Okay, I may not be able to say yes or no to it, but then you can always give it a try. You never know what would really reach out. If the person responds to it, that's fine. But in case the person needs a kind of a medical intervention, that is better. But these are all light-hearted practices, reset buttons for us to proceed. I think it doesn't do any harm when you do it. You may try that also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really great to learn from you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your responses in the chat box. Thank you very much.
I could ask something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, madam, just kind of something I would like to share. When we were young, say in our school days, we often used to hear that if it's something is good about you, you did not to bring it up yourself. Others will praise you for that. But now we get to hear that if something is good about me, I need to praise myself. So what is your take on these ideas? Because nowadays, we often say that we do not need validation from somebody else. We are our own pillars, our own parameters. So which idea should we propagate to our mentees or our students? Should it be one of them, or should it be like a balance of both of them?
Absolutely, it should be a balance of both, because extremes do not help us in any way. One thing is, it depends on this child. If the child feels very empty inside, exercises on self-esteem and exercises where one is able to help oneself to identify strength helps. But at the same time, there are people where they feel that they are enough by themselves. So it is like, when would you like to support them with such kind of thoughts, right? So one thing is, personally, my personal take would be, you should know that what your strengths are and still be open to what the world has to say. And if there is something constructive that can build you up, that is how you connect with them. It is not that you can be cut off as an island, because as human beings, we are socially connected. So there is this kind of narcissistic attitude, if I may say. It's a very big word, but then you find that is getting into the new trend when group photos became selfies. That a time when you are okay when you're not in that photo, you want to click a picture. Now it's turned to I should be in the picture. I'm not worried if nobody else is there. Even we digital immigrants have got into it. Yes, it's just to be conscious of what is really happening, that which can always approve yourself, and that which also accepts the other is a kind of a balanced attitude that we need to say. We cannot say this is right or this is wrong. And it's a kind of a wisdom, a collective wisdom that you really have in talking to them about it. And it's like a person who has to really put on weight, we give a separate set of supplements, right? And a person who wants to reduce, we give a separate set of things to do about. It's like that. So I hope I've answered that question. Actually, it's a very valid question.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Anyone else would like to share anything? Question, ideas?
You can also just tell if something really connected with you, got you reflecting, or you had an experience of dealing with one of your mentees in a way that would help others. That would also be a better way of learning from each other.
Yes. Sunita Sherpa. So, Sunita, if you want to share, please unmute yourself and you can share your views. Sunita, we can't hear you.
No.
Yes.
Actually, I wanted to ask. I've done it. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Hello?
Now you're audible.
Recently, my students were giving me feedback. Okay, so with one student, I talked, and then he was like, I was asking him, why don't you attend my class? Then he was like saying, this is an online class, and I'm not interested to join. Okay, so he was saying, it's not only about you, but then I don't attend anyone's class. So like, how should I make him interested to attend my class? Not only mine, I'm not, but to everyone's class. Could you please help me with this? Thank you.
Sunita, I understand because there was an intermittent connection. Just let me get the question right. You say that there was a student who didn't attend your class, not only your class, but everybody's class. And how would you like to deal with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Sunita, it's if it's going to, is it an online or offline class?
Online class, ma'am.
Yeah, that is actually a problem because that personal connect that we have in an on-campus, that is something very missing. One thing is you can ask the person if the person would like to talk to you about how to get the person into the class. Why is that? What does the person need, right? What is it that he or she looks for in a class? And if that can be taken into account, maybe a kind of a need-based audit can be taken. And if there is something that you can respond to it, you can really help the person with that. Or you can also, if you are allowed to do so, you may be in touch with your parents to find out if there is a kind of a technical support that is needed, or is it sometimes many students, they don't even tell us if it is a kind like they don't have a mobile to join, or a kind of a technical they don't have the required data connection, and they find it really very difficult to tell because it's a sign of poverty for them. I've had students like that. So if the person can confide that reason with you, and it comes with a kind of trust and a connection with with you, if you can build up, and maybe you need not even jump into it. Maybe if you think the person is very rigid, a regular calls for 2-3 days just to find out if the person is okay and not asking
Ma'am.
why the person has not joined. Okay, and
Yeah,
later
ma'am.
slowly, yes.
Yeah, he was asking me, ma'am, I really want to attend your class, but then I can't get up. So could you give me a call? So in this situation, what should I be saying?
He
I
cannot
said I
get up.
won't be doing that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
yes,
is
ma'am.
something not
So he was
really.
asking me to call him.
That shouldn't. Maybe you can just tell if you can take a help from a friend, and the friend can support in the calling. That should be a possible. Maybe you can give an alternative because a teacher
Okay.
can may not be in a position to do it every time, right?
Yes.
And once you start
Yes,
doing
ma'am.
for someone, then you'll have to give up waking up calls for everyone.
Everyone.
I'm not sure if you would agree to it, but that's my take on it. If we have any more
Yes,
answers,
ma'am.
also fine. You can just
Thank you so
put
much.
it across in such a way that you can say that I understand you need some help, but then can we ask one of your friends to do that for you for some time? It may not be every
Okay.
time. Okay, in that way you can partly address him and partly get him on track.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Uh,
Thank you.
Questions? Any more question?
Ma'am, this is Srimoy.
Yes, Ramoy.
I don't have a question per se, but queries have come as to whether you would be sharing your PPT.
Yes, I shall. I'll do that.
Ma'am, I think if our question answer session is over, because our participants have raised their questions and you have clarified everything, so I think we can move towards the valedictory
Sure.
session. And Srimoy, it is now over to you, please.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Jed. I mean, we had attended your session in the workshop organized by RCA, and me and Ishita immediately knew that we have to get you on board as far as Scottish Church College is concerned. And we are so happy that we managed to, get in touch with you, and we were able to organize this workshop. It has been a wonderful experience for 2 days. We had a lot of expectation because as teachers in the pandemic, things have been quite difficult for us in terms of connecting with our students, in terms of assisting them in ways that perhaps otherwise, or the reasons would not be there. But it is in the pandemic that matters have become much more complicated. That led us to approach our college, and our college fully cooperated with us. And we collaborated with IHA, who also fully cooperated with us to organize this workshop. I hope I'm speaking on behalf of everyone who attended for the 2 days, that we have learned a lot. And we have been given a lot of practical and effective ideas which we can implement in our system, in our institution, with our students, and probably carry this forward in a more positive light. That is something that we desired, and I'm quite sure that that is something we got. So a special thank you to our two resource persons, Dr. John Balaya yesterday and Dr. Mary Jayanti today. A very, very warm thank you. Let's move on to the last bit of our 2 days workshop. Every good thing must come to an end. So our workshop is also coming to its near end. And I begin with the valedictory session, where I would first like to request Father George Hadatis. Father, are you here with us? Can you see him, Ishita?
No. Should I give him a call?
Just ask him if he's joining back. Or in the meantime, since we have both our speakers with us, and since we are into the last session, I would like to have a feedback from especially participants from outside of Scottish Church College. If I may request a few of you to kindly volunteer to give some feedback to us as organizers, to IHA, to the two resource person, your experience in terms of being part of this workshop. May I request a few of the participants from outside of Scottish Church College to kindly volunteer and speak their minds? You may unmute yourself and start speaking. Yes, yes, Professor Debolina from Women's Christian College.
I'm very grateful to Scottish Church College for inviting us to this workshop. I'm very grateful to both the resource persons also, because you have given us a very, I won't say it's a new way, but a very constructive way in which we can approach our mentor-mentee sessions. And I hope it will benefit them, especially during, while we're holding classes online and we can't see their faces. Sometimes they don't see our faces. For all I know, the screen may be on and they've gone off to do something else. So the one-on-one mentor-mentee sessions where we will get to know them a bit better. We have an entire batch of students whom we haven't met on campus. So I think it will be very, very useful, whatever sir and you have told us. And you've also given us certain perspectives in which we can approach ourselves and other people also as, human beings or teachers. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Professor Debolina. If I may ask any other participant to kindly share his or her thoughts, it would be very nice for our resource persons and for us also.
Shrimoy.
Yes.
I'm Varmi. Similar sessions by our resource persons for our students would be much helpful. So if you could arrange, if our resource persons agree, then we can arrange
That's a
for
very good suggestion. In fact,
yes, very good suggestion.
Yes, even yesterday and today, I think all of us felt that if we can give this to our students directly and not always via us, I think it would be much more beneficial. We will look into it, definitely. Me and Ishita are on it. Anybody else would like to speak?
I'll just add on something.
Yes, Dr.
Just one thing, like I should tell Madam Principal, I'm sure Principal also knows, this team of two, Shrimoy and Ishita, they make sure that they get things done, Madam. I'm sure you agree to that also. And the way they had been pursuing me to really come and get the way they've got this done, I can see that excitement. I'm sure it comes from the management, and I'm really appreciative of the initiatives that you've taken. And when this workbook, I have another faculty along with me, Ms. Merlin Dempsey. She was there for IACHE meeting. When we both conceived this, we wanted it to take it across the nation, because this was something that we really wanted every teacher to understand the need for the pacifying period model. And as a first step, I should thank the principal, Scottish College management, and the entire band of committed teachers, along with this enthusiastic duo, for taking the first step to do it. So I would like to mention that would be my feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, these two, Srimui and Ishita, they are very talented, and they are our treasure actually. And we have many professors like them. You have seen only two.
Okay.
So in coming days, we will reveal others to you.
Yes.
And
sure.
I know, ma'am, in that webinar, which both of them attended, other topics were also discussed. So we are interested in few other topics also. So later on, if you all agree, then we can have more sessions on those topics, which
Yes.
are very relevant in this pandemic.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you, Principal Ma'am. Can I have somebody volunteer from our own college, Scottish Church College, to share his or her experience in the 2 days that the workshop was conducted? It would be very nice. Riddhi, are you there? The most enthusiastic of them all?
Yes, I'm there. Actually, I had to, every time I'm speaking, so I thought that let's keep silent for some time. Okay. First of all, we are teachers. We have no experience of mentoring our students, and now in undergraduate levels, NAC and UGC want us to mentor our students. So we generally had no idea how to go about it. And what I personally did is that I used to call them, the students, and I would tell them, please share what you are feeling with us. Now, why should they trust me suddenly? One or two of the vocal ones used to share their concerns, but most of them kept none. But many of them used to reveal their personal problems or share some things with me in WhatsApp, personally, one-to-one. So I started doing that. And gradually, I developed a Google form through which before every session I used to float this thing. And there I used to write what we are going to discuss in the next session, suggest. So sometimes we also read self-help books like The Little Prince that I read with my students. Then we watched small clippings of movies from the YouTube for maybe 15 minutes, especially in the online mentor-mentee sessions, because how am I going to spend this 1 hour with them? And also, how should they feel? So sometimes to motivate them, some cartoons or some short films used to see, and then we used to interpret how they are seeing the thing, or some paintings also I did. But I realized that those efforts were not that effective. And since yesterday session and today's session, I developed certain tools, and definitely I'm thinking of practicing them, and especially the workbook that you have you have given us and shared with us. That's a great way to make them feel comfortable. Also, for, as you said, to go for facilitator, because I never thought it. I also always thought that I'm there to fix their problem, but thank you, you have given me the right direction from fixer to facilitator, or else it would have been very, very, I was going definitely not in the correct direction. I have understood. So thank you. And yesterday's session was also John Sir's presentation, and also the way he showed us the boundaries, as well as the, mentoring and influencing, and how we should balance them. And we should never encroach that means we should not let them enter into our personal space, but at the same time maintaining that limit, but at the same time reaching out to them. So it's a very fine balance, and definitely we will try to see that we can achieve that. So thank you for both the sessions. Thank you, ma'am and sir. And definitely I actually, because Ishita and Srimoy had shared that they had a wonderful experience, and we were very jealous of them, that why would they be so, and we definitely said to our principal, ma'am, so we should also have this opportunity, and she obliged, and so we are here. Thank you everybody for giving us this opportunity for having this wonderful session.
Thank you, Riddhi. As always, you are very articulate. I would like to echo Riddhi's concerns. The concerns that she raised regards to the limits of our contact with our students, how far should we go, how far we should fix the problem or try to provide them with a number of solutions that they should make the choice of picking from. It was out of these concerns actually that we decided to have this workshop, and I'm so happy with me and Ishita, that is, we were successfully able to do so with our collaborators and with full support from our college management. Father George has joined us, so I would now request Father George to kindly provide some concluding remarks. regarding the workshop.
Thank you, Srimoy. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I had to relocate from one block to the other, and that took some time. As some of you were saying, me too, when I started out with this long-standing dream of bringing faculty from our institutions to engage with each other, I saw that happening concretely and effectively when IHA invited Dr. Mary Jayanti and team of Anugraha to do that pandemic-related resilience program, and with the intent to lead on to how, as faculty, we could create something new in our institutions. And the way it happened was, as you said, something that triggered in me to a sense of hope. We are used to NAC and benchmarking and, all these quality parameters. But even before that, or despite that, or because of it, we are on the lookout constantly for where is it that we see something new or innovative happening, something creative happening. And not often that we look in the direction of self-freedom enhancement and quality in terms of the persons that we are. So how can we, with what little effort or big effort, can we let go of our encumbrances and become unencumbered persons? Grateful persons, cheerful persons, happy persons, contented persons. That also has to do with higher education, and that also has to be researched, and that also must be part and parcel of our, literally within quotes, bread and butter of teaching whatever we do. That is the kind of hope that came to me when this interfacing happened with Anugraha and with Holy Cross College Trichy, and especially Madam Dr. Mary Jayanti. I wish from here, all of you who participated, even while implementing and putting to application for the benefit of your own students and the institution, also keep at the back of the mind that our project is not over until and unless we bring that personal finding of the transition in our own personal lives and in our mentoring-mentee relationship to a meta-narrative level, or traditionally or classically we call it as that kind of a critical look or a research attitude to what is happening. When we do that, I feel we are doing, I'm talking to a Bengal-based audience, we are doing what Tagore did. He was inspired by the modern education and he carried that to the rural environments, brought the world there, put them into a kind of, churning cauldron, and whichever way the cauldron is boiling right now, but something we can't deny is boiling out there. And all those who went through it, I have met artists, painters, so the refraction of light, that kind of, now this is the future of Christian higher education is what I believe, as even before I became the president of IHA, even just as a principal like Madam Madhu Manchari here, and attending these meetings. Yes, there is something in our institutions which is trying to tell the student and the faculty that we honor you. We honor you for your commitment. We honor you for your dedication to your teaching. And that self-worth, your happiness and the happiness that you can bring to the students and to the family and to the life around is to be credited, is to be benchmarked, is part of our constitution, is part of our democratic living, is part of the justice and peace that we are talking about, is part of the India, whether we call it as Bharat or whether we, whatever name we call it, if we want to honor what we have received and what our forefathers have honored, we have to do this. Sorry for being long, but yeah, I'm reading these days, for example, both Gaya and the history of just that place called Gaya of 2,500 years, mind you. Still there is something, and how it has gone through its ups and downs. Like this, we can say about Scottish Church College, and like that, we can talk about every one of our institutions, that we have started from nothing, and we might have gone through our ups and downs, but we are still reverberating, we are still resonating, and we are still transforming the world. Thank you for having joined this program. Thanks to the resource persons, thanks to the organizing college, on behalf of IACHE and especially on behalf of General Secretary Father Xavier Vedam, and all of us from the governing board of IACHE, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father, and thank you to you too for readily agreeing to collaborate with us and for giving us very valuable suggestions truly that we were able to implement during the workshop and which have paid dividends as we have moved forward with the organization. Thank you so much, and we look forward to more such collaborations in the future with you, definitely. Thank you, sir. The feedback form link for today has been given in the chat box. I request the participants to kindly fill it up. Once you have submitted your form, your e-certificates will be automatically generated. I hope that technology will work. Now it's time to close it up a bit. So I will request one of our internal collaborators in this workshop, our very dear IQAC coordinator, Dr. Shamgan Bhattacharjee, to deliver the vote of thanks. Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Thank you, Srimoi. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah, it is indeed a pleasure to accord this vote of thanks after a beautiful rendition. I would begin by expressing my gratitude to IACHE for collaborating with Scottish Church College in organizing this workshop. A special thanks to Father George and Father Xavier for their very valuable and critical inputs, which have helped us to design and stage this program. We feel that this is just a beginning of our journey of togetherness and would look forward to more such collaborative endeavors, exchange programs in future. I am extremely grateful to both of our resource persons, Dr. John Balaya and Professor Dr. Mary Jayanti, for taking us into a journey of realization, reflection, and self-manifestation on the various aspects of mentoring matrix and resilience. I am sure the participants will address the issues of mentoring in a more effective way when they get back to their own institutions. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. I would like to thank our Secretary, Dr. Shopan Kumar Mukherjee, Secretary of the College Council, our Principal, Dr. Madhumanjari Mandal, our Vice Principal, Dr. Supratim Das, for their patronage, a token of appreciation to our Bursa Senator Secretary, Teachers Council Secretary for their support in organizing today's program, a gratitude to our chaplain, Reverend Martin Pakhare, for the opening prayer, and our colleague, Sri Pinaki Mondol, for the college hymn, and Shushmita Gonsalves, who will be rendering the closing prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be failing in my duty if I do not put on record my deepest regards and personal thanks to two of my extremely talented and wonderful colleagues who have coordinated this entire program, starting from conceiving to staging. Dr. Srimoi and Dr. Ishita, you both have done a wonderful job, and I think they deserve applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
There are always our hardworking colleagues who assist us from behind the screen. My sincere thanks to Shreya Mitra, Nivedita Shaha, and Shushabhan Paul for their assistance to organize this program. Finally, I am grateful to all our participants from IHA member institutions and my colleagues from Scottish Church College for their gracious presence, without which this webinar would not have been a success. In the end, my sincere apologies for the technical glitches caused yesterday during the course of organizing this webinar. Thank you all once again for being such a wonderful audience, and please do take care of yourself and the people around you. Thank you, and over to Srimoi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. This was a workshop in collaboration between the IQAC of Scottish Church College and IHA. And Dr. Bhattacharjee has always provided his valuable time to us whenever we have tried to seek some kind of advice or otherwise. So thank you to you too for all your cooperation. We began the two-day workshop with blessings from the Lord, and we would like to end with our closing prayers. I would now like to request Dr. Shushmita Gonzalez, Faculty, Department of Political Science, Scottish Church College, to kindly deliver the closing prayers of the day. Yes, Shushmita.
Am I audible, Shrimoy?
Yes, yes.
Oh. Let us all close our eyes and bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, gracious Lord, Creator of heaven and earth, as we are gathered in your holy name, we praise you and adore you. While we near the end of our 2-day online workshop on effective implementation of the Mentor-Mentee program at the undergraduate level, we pray to you to bless us all. Gracious Lord, send us your Holy Spirit to be our guide and give us the wisdom to understand every topic that we have heard and discussed so far. Enlighten our minds, Lord, and remain with us as we go back to our daily lives. We thank you, Lord, for our college, its authorities, our secretary, Dr. S.K. Mukuti, our principal ma'am, vice principal sir, our IQAC coordinator, our bursar, our senator secretary, our teachers council secretary. We thank you, Lord, for AIACHE, President, Father George Thadakal, Secretary, Father Xavier Vedam, our resource persons, Dr. John Balaya and Dr. Mary Jayanti, and especially our coordinators of the workshop, Professor Ishita Shur and Professor Shrimoy Guho Thakurta. Lord, once again, we commit ourselves into your hands, our shelter and strength, our helper and defender. Hear our prayer now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Shushmita. That brings the workshop to an end. And on that note, may I request, again, I thank all who are present with us, our resource persons, our college authority, and Father George Thadakal. Thank you for all the cooperation. And I thank all the participants as well. Again, the feedback form link is in the chat box. Me and Ishita will stick around for a while, while you fill up the form. And thank you all. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Till we meet again.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Madam Jayanti.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shrimoy and Ishita. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. This is not the last time we will.
Yes, and we will get back to you. So please, again, we will SMS you and disturb you. So
you're most welcome.
Yeah.
You're most welcome.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. This journey has been a pleasure. And your enthusiasm is something that's really rejuvenating. God bless you all for that. And thank you, sir. Thank you, IQAC coordinator, sir, for your wonderful vote of thanks, warm words of appreciation. Father George, so happy to see you. And your reflections are really, really the need of the hour. Thank you so much. So I shall take leave. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Shishubhan, can
বলো
you stop this live streaming?
হ্যাঁ
yes. Live stream টাও বন্ধ করে দিন। হ্যাঁ
রেকর্ডিং টাও
হ্যাঁ ও রেকর্ডিং টা বন্ধ করে দিয়েছে।
Shrimoy, can we leave?
Yes, yes.
Ishita?
Yes. Please fill up the feedback forms before.
Yes, and we have also received the certificate